All right, boys and girls, how y'all doing? So, in your packet, we were supposed to go over more of Africa. We've been going over Africa for a month, and it's driving me crazy. So, we're gonna go into a new continent, and that continent is Asia. All right, so we're gonna go over all this here. All right, we already went over Russia and Southern Asia, but we're gonna go Eastern Asia, which is this part over here. We're gonna go over this part over here. All right, so mainly China, India, Indonesia, Japan. I'm gonna try to get into it, get into all of the parts of the continent as quickly as possible because we don't have that much time left. So I'm hoping that we can get this done quickly. All right, so let's get into it. So we're gonna learn about East Asia. So East Asia has Mongolia, China, South Korea, North Korea, the Republic of China, Taiwan, and Japan. So mostly everything that's in gray is what we're going to be covering today. All right, the vocabulary words we're going to cover are de facto, this one right here, tsunami, and VOS, I guess that's what it says. We'll figure it out. All right. So we're going to go over the physical geography of East Africa, then we'll continue on to that. All right, so here it asks, what makes Taiwan a de facto country? So we look over is actually or in reality. So here it says that Asia is made up of 6 countries, or East Asia, which is China, Japan, Mongolia, North Korea, and South Korea. So those are 6 countries. Now it asks, why is Taiwan a de facto country? A de facto country is one that is not legally recognized. So that means that it's not really it's a country, but not legally, I guess that's what they're saying. So the region's largest country in China in the world of the 4th largest country and land area. So let's see, why is Taiwan not considered or considered a de facto country? Let's read. Oh wait, okay. So I already found it, sorry. So it says here, the Republic of China, which is Taiwan, a de facto country. So what makes it a de facto country is that it is not legally recognized. So that's what we can write over here. I'll write it in red so we can see it. And what do they mean by that? They mean that it just means that legally, when they make government decisions, it's not really a country that stands on its own. It's a part of China, not its own country. All right, so let's move on to number 2. It asks, what are the 3 geographic subregions of mainland East Asia? So let's move on here, and right here we find mainland. So it says mainland East Asia, which includes China and Mongolia, can be divided into 3 subregions. So we already found what it's asking for here. So it says the highest step in the plateau of Tibet. So that's one of them. And these are going to be kind of long, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to put 1, 2, 3. If you could fit them in here, that's fine, but this is how I'm going to do it. So the first one is Plateau of Tibet. I'm going to circle it, and right next to it, I'm going to put 1. Okay. Now, if you're doing it on the Google form, just type it out. Okay, but that's your first answer. So Plateau of Tibet. So it just talks more information. above sea level. The highest mountain circle of the Plateau Tibet. Okay, so the Kilian Shan region is on the north, so this is the third one. Forgive me if I say that wrong. I do not know how to pronounce these. So this is number 2. And then on the southern area of the Himalayan, the tallest mountain in the world. So this is the Himalayan, all right? So this is number 3. So the Himalayas is very popular, actually. And it's actually a lot of mountain climbers go to the Himalayas to like climb it. That way they have the experience of saying that they climbed the tallest mountain in the world. And you can expect that these mountains are very tall and they have snow. And here's where it looks like here on a map. Okay. So it kind of connects to part of Asia, or part of China, and also part of India. So like I said, a lot of rock climbers try to climb to the top to see the summit of the Himalayas. And the summit just means the very top. It takes days, sometimes months for some climbers to get up here. And a lot of these climbers actually take a lot of time to train and prepare for it, because it kind of takes a toll on your body, because the more higher you go in elevation, the harder it is to breathe. So they have to train their bodies to be able to breathe air that's a little bit, thinner than what they're usually used to breathing. Okay, so I don't want to take too much time. So remember that number 1 was this one right here. Number 2 is right here. This is number 3. All right, so let's go ahead and look at number 3. It says, how did Japan's archipelago form? That is one of your vocabulary words. So it says archipelago is a group of islands. So I'm pretty sure it's talking about this one and maybe these small ones here. So let's look at that over here. So archipelago, so we don't have to read too much because it's right here. So Japan is an archipelago, or a chain of islands along the eastern edge of the Sea of Japan. It is roughly 1,500 miles long and consists of 4 large islands and thousands of smaller ones. So the islands of Japan are part of the Ring of Fire. All right, so the Ring of Fire, if you haven't heard of that, let me show you what that is. It should have been covered in your science class. And I believe we did cover it around the beginning of the year. I'm not too sure. It's been a while. So let's look that up real quick. This is the Ring of Fire. So they're just like underwater volcanoes that are around the world. And it's called a ring because it kind of forms a ring shape. And they are underwater, most of them. And they erupt, and that's how a lot of water or land gets formed. And I kind of gave you the answer there, but let's keep reading. So it says it's around the Ring of Fire, which is nearly the encircles the Pacific Ocean. The islands were formed by volcano eruptions millions of years ago. So this is our answer for number 3. Formed by volcano eruptions millions of years ago. So all we're going to do is write volcano eruptions. We're not going to write the full thing because then that's going to take too long and too much space. So there we go. So volcanic eruptions is how the islands of Japan were formed. So we look here. So like I said, if we look here, parts of Japan, which are small islands, and there's some more over here, were formed by volcanic eruptions. All right, let's move on to number 4. It says, read the text on the left, highlight the names of the East Asian continents that are not found on the mainlands. So let's read right here. We should be able to find it around this section, so let's give it a try. So it says, Japan is one of the most earthquake-prone countries in the world. When an earthquake occurs below or close to the ocean, it can cause a tsunami. So a tsunami in our language, it just means a tidal wave. So that's when a huge wave just comes and hits an area. Okay, so these are examples of tsunamis, and these are not. Some of these are over exaggerated, like this one right here with a shark, but some of them are not. Like this one is actually a real tsunami that happened. This happened back in 2010, and it hit Japan, and they actually had 2 tsunamis that year. I remember because of earthquakes. So it's just when the ground shakes, it pulls the water away from the beach line or the coastline, and then once the earthquake finishes, it pushes it back, and then it just causes a huge wave. So let's see. So this is a huge wave that gets, yeah, we already know that. Hundreds of miles west of Japan's mainland islands lies another island, which is Taiwan. Like Japan, it was formed by a volcanic activity. Mountains stretch along. Okay. Let's keep writing. All right, so reading and, look, seeing what it says and looking at this map, we see that China is the mainland of East Asia. North Korea is part of it, so is South Korea, but I think China is not connected to it, neither is the Republic of China, which is Taiwan. And that is actually mentioned down here, like the names of the countries. So, because it doesn't say how many countries there are, it just says highlight the names of East African countries that are not found on the mainland. And, China and Taiwan, Japan and Taiwan are not connected to the mainland. So we can highlight Japan, and we can also highlight Taiwan as well, because Taiwan is an island. All right, so let's go ahead and look at number 6. So it asks, what are some ways that people of East Asia depend on rivers? So we always talk about that. Usually people that depend on river, either it's for the water to drink, transportation, or fishing. Okay, so let's just go ahead and just read this here. So this says, the 4 seas sit along the eastern Asia, edge of East Asia. Southern China Sea lies between southern China. Let's keep reading. I don't really see anything here that talks about what people use the rivers for, so let's continue. China has 2 important rivers. Okay, so this is the first one, the call it the Yellow River. This is what they call it in their language, I guess. It gets its name from the yellow-brown silt called lows. Actually, let's check that out. That sounds weird. So let me look that up real quick. Wow, so it's a yellow river because it is actually yellow. That is insane, guys. That's probably not a clean river. Okay. Hopefully they don't drink from that, because that'd be pretty gross. Anyway, so it gets its name from the yellow-brown silt called Leos. Can't pronounce that correctly. Sorry. that it picks up and carries its deposits. It's down the river as fertile soil when it floods. Ew. Okay, so the soil is renewable natural resources. Okay, so let me go ahead and underline this, and I'll put it in blue so we don't mess that up. So that's one way people depend on it, I guess. It creates the northern China Plain, which has some of China's best farmlands. These floods have also caused much damage and loss of life. The change, this river right here is what we're talking about now. Is the longest river in Asia. The Changjiang, I guess that's how you pronounce it. The principal waterways. It also provides water for rice farming. So, let's make it simple. We already know that we use it for transportation. It doesn't say that there, but we know that. Wait, let me read a little bit more. I just saw something. So it also creates, Japan's major river, also the short, steppe, swift. Most of them generate hydroelectric energy. So the Korean Peninsula inland forms the Yellow Sea. Okay, so let's look at it like this. All right. It has renewable natural resources, so that's one. So let's just write it like this. Number one is renewable natural resources. Okay, so this one's going to be our number one. And the reason I'm doing this is because there's a lot of information and it's just not going to fit there. So if you type it out, type out renewable natural resources, okay? Number two, let's see, what was number two? So, okay, here we go. Number two is right here. Provides water for rice farms. So the farmers that grow rice, they depend on the river system. And three, let me get that out of the way. Okay, so three, let's go ahead and highlight it again. It also generates hydroelectric power. So that's cool. That's all. Like, remember, hydroelectric power is when it just generates electricity. And we've gone over that a lot in my class because that's always coming up. And that's the cleanest, most efficient way to have electricity. Okay, because we're not pumping out toxins in the air. Instead, we're just using water to turn a turbine and just creating electricity in a clean way. So remember, this one's one. This one's number one. This one's number two. This one's number three. Okay? So it says, how do the climates of East Asia, islands, and the peninsula are different from climates of mainland Asia? So let's see. Climates of East Asia vary greatly because of several factors. The latitude, the regions spans a great distance from northern to southern. Elevation, two areas that are the same latitude can have a very different climate if one is higher than the other. The air mass, cold, dry, polar air spreads from the northern Asia in the colder months. Warm, moist, yada yada. Okay, so here it's asking, how do the climates in East Asia and the peninsula are different from the climates of the mainland? Let's see. Southern Asia, China is hot, rainy much of the year, with lush vegetation to the north, there is more seasonal variation of Taiwan, Japan, and Korean Peninsula are generally wetter and have milder temperatures than the mainland areas that are the same latitude. The climate in Mongolia and northern, central, and southern China is drier. Winters are bitter cold. The region includes the Gibbon Desert and whatever. Okay. So it says here, let's go back. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. It's a very long question. So, all right. So basically it's just saying that the mainland is drier and the peninsula is wetter. So where does it talk about mainland again? All right, so here we're going to put mainland hot/dry. And peninsula is weather varies in different situations. So the peninsula does not really have the islands and the peninsulas really don't have a set type of weather, because remember they're out in the islands, so there's going to be days that it's very wet, very windy, and days that it's going to be very hot. I messed that up. Hang on. There we go. So islands. All right, so there we go. So mainland, weather is hot and dry. Peninsula, the islands, and the weather varies. Okay, how do the Himalayas affect the climate of the Tibet plateau of Tibet? So let me go ahead and find that. So plateau of Tibet is right here. Cold. The Himalayas block moisture are most airflow flowing northern from the Indian Ocean. So here, let's just make it simple and just write blocks airflow. Okay, so that's for number 9. Let's move on to number 10. We're almost done. So let's go. Read the text on the left. Highlight the names of the 2 major industrial countries in East Asia that must import most of their raw materials. I think it's just going to be China and Japan, because China and Japan are always importing stuff. I mean, it does say here, China holds the greatest share of the region's resources. Japan is one of the world's leading industrial countries, but has fewer material resources. So, yeah, these are the 2 that we're looking for. So we're gonna just highlight those in yellow. Okay. So why is it necessary for people in Japan and the Republic of Taiwan to import wood resources? So largest department of fossil fuels, China, coal. It is also oil and natural gas. Despite the resources, China still cannot meet all of its energy needs of its growing economy. Both China and Japan use hydroelectric dams to, okay, that said nothing about that. Let me see. Okay. More than half of Taiwan is covered in forest. However, much of the forest land is protected, so Taiwan must import wood. So it says here, why is it necessary for people in Taiwan, other public, to import wood? Here's our answer. Because Taiwan, let's look up Taiwan. So it says that Taiwan is mostly filled with forests, which is true. It has some of the most beautiful forests in the world. And they're protected by by the government. So they're not allowed to chop down the trees there. So that's why they have to import. Import means they have to get from another country. So here, much of its forests land is protected. That's what we're gonna write over here. Okay. I'll make it easy for you. You can either, if you're on the packet, you can just highlight this and just point an arrow. If you're typing this out, well, you're gonna have to type it out. Okay, or you can just make it shorter. All right, this one right here, we're not gonna do, if you want to, this would be extra credit. So extra credit if you want, but you don't have to. All right. So that's it for today. Keep a lookout. I might post another video later, but probably not, depending on how much time we have and how many of you actually turn this in. Remember, when you're turning in your assignment, make sure that you mark turn in. And what do I mean by mark turn in? Let me show you. So a lot of you do turn in your assignment, but I don't see it there sometimes, and I have to look for it, and it's honestly driving me a little crazy. All right, so let me show you what you have to do. Okay, so when you go to My Class and you're gonna turn in an assignment, you need to mark turn in. All right, so here, even though that you come in and do the work, you know, you sign in, and then you get to your assignment, you do your assignment, and you put submit. Some of you are just putting submit, done, that's it. You're not turning in the work. All right, so how do you do that? You slide up. Okay, so you grab this here. If you're on the mobile app, you slide up, and then you put marked as done. All right, once you click marked as done, then you can do that. If you're going to send pictures, you press add attachment, and then you either take pictures of your assignment if you're doing that, or you pick from your recent, okay? So you go through your camera roll and get your assignment. Now, once you're done, you put marked as done. Okay, and I'm going to show you again. Here's your assignment. Once you finish this here, you go here and then you put marked as done. A lot of you are not doing that, and it's not coming out. And it makes it a little bit harder for me to find your assignments. So please do that. That way I can find your assignments a little bit easier. That way I know you're done. That way I don't have to like go one by one finding your work, and I won't be having to be giving you a lower grade, because sometimes I do miss it because you all are not turning it in correctly. So please try to turn that in correctly, all right? Other than that, just wait for more instructions. Another thing is make sure you're signing in on class attendance. I'm going to post a new one tomorrow. You go here, go to sign in. You put your, if you haven't put your Gmail account in there, then you sign in. You put the date, your name, and your class period. All right. So make sure to do that. We have to document how many times a week y'all are signing in. That's only when you sign into my class. All right. Other than that, you're fine. You just at least sign in once a week. If you sign in more, that's fine. But try to get that done. All right. Have a good week. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. Bye.